The next morning arrived slowly, with soft golden lights spreading across the sky. Callan stepped outside early, breathing in the cool air. The grass was still wet with dew, and the quiet fields felt different now. Something had changed, not in the land, but in him. He was no longer living alone. Someone else shared his home, his worries, and now a bond that linked their futures. Lyra joined him soon after. She walked carefully, still adjusting to the emotional weight of the night before. Her glow was softer, calmer. She stopped beside him, folding her hands gently. "You woke early," she said. "I always do," Callan replied. "Habit." She watched him for a moment, then looked out toward the horizon. "I didn't sleep much," she admitted softly. "Not because of fear, but because everything feels new." Callan glanced at her. "Do you regret it?" Her eyes widened. "No, not for a single breath." She stepped closer. "I was afraid before. All my life, I was told what I should be, who I should bond with, what path I should follow. Last night, for the first time, I felt like I finally chose something for myself." She turned to face him fully. "I chose you, and I am at peace." Callan rubbed the back of his neck, a little overwhelmed. He wasn't used to such honest, heartfelt words. "Well," he said quietly, "you're welcome here. I'm not expecting anything from you. We'll figure things out slowly." Lyra smiled at this, softly, gratefully. "You always speak like that," she said. Gently. "It helps more than you know." They went about their day together. Lyra walked with him through the fields, watching how he checked the soil and inspected the crop growth. She listened carefully as he explained the simple routines of farming. She touched the plants gently, letting her natural energy flow around them. Callan noticed how the crops stood straighter when she passed. "You don't have to fix everything," Callan teased lightly. Lyra's cheeks glowed faintly. "I only want to help." "And you do," Callan said, meaning it. Later, they repaired the front fence, which the Envoy's landing beam had disturbed. Lyra lifted wooden posts easily, holding them steady while Callan secured them. They worked side by side, without rushing, talking softly in between tasks. But news of the Aurelian visit spread quickly. By noon, his two neighbors arrived at the farm, riding dusty transport bikes. They stopped near the gate, staring wide-eyed at Lyra, who stood tall and calm beside Callan. One neighbor, a middle-aged man named Horan, removed his hat awkwardly. "Callan, is everything all right?" "Folks in town said bright ships landed on your land." Nodded. "They did." "It's a long story." Horan's eyes flicked to Lyra again. "And she's—" Callan glanced at Lyra. She offered a polite bow, glowing faintly but not fearfully. "I am Lyra," she said gently. "I mean no harm." Horan stared at her, unsure whether to bow back or step away. "Well, welcome," he muttered. "If Callan says you're fine, then you're fine." Callan appreciated that. He had lived near these people for years, and though they didn't know him closely, they trusted his judgment. Horan and the other neighbor left soon after, still stunned, but not hostile. When they were gone, Lyra sighed in relief. "I feared humans might react with more fear." Callan shook his head. "People here aren't complicated. If you don't cause trouble, they won't give you trouble." She looked at him with a soft smile. "Simple worlds are rare. I like this one." We spent the afternoon working on the irrigation lines. Lyra kneeled beside the pipes, learning how water flowed through them. Callan explained human tools again, and she listened like a student eager to understand everything. She didn't act like someone from a powerful star realm. She simply acted like someone happy to learn as the sun lowered. They walked back to the house together, their steps quiet and peaceful. Lyra paused at the doorway, watching the warm lights inside. "I never thought I would call a place like this home," she said. Callan looked at her carefully. "Do you want it to be your home?" She turned toward him, her eyes shining warmly. "It already feels like home," she said softly. "Not because of the walls or the fields, but because of you." Callan felt heat rise in his chest. He wasn't used to such words. But he didn't step away either. He let the quiet settle comfortably between them. After dinner, they sat near the fireplace again. Lyra rested on a cushion, her long hair shimmering softly in the firelight. Callan sat in his usual chair, sharpening a tool he used for trimming vines. Lyra watched him with calm interest. Humans do such work with their hands, she said. Aurelians would use tools of light. But this feels more personal. It's just the way we do things, Callan said with a small smile. She leaned her head slightly. I like it better. It talked about simple things, the stars, the weather, the different sounds of the farm at night. Lyra told him stories about her world, the floating crystal cities, the glowing gardens, the quiet halls where Aurelians learned to shape energy. She described them with care, but there was always a hint of sadness behind her words, as if those places held beauty but not freedom. Callan listened silently. When she finished, he gently said, "You won't have to go back unless you want to." "I don't," she replied immediately. Outside, the night was peaceful. But Lyra suddenly paused, her eyes narrowing a little. "Something is coming," she whispered. Callan set his tool aside. "Another envoy?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "This is different." They stepped outside. A small Aurelian projection drone descended silently, stopping above the fields. A sphere of soft blue light expanded around it, forming a floating screen. Lyra's posture stiffened. An older Aurelian appeared in the hologram tall, radiant and clearly someone important. His voice carried calm authority. "Lyra Ellerine. The Council has reviewed the envoy's report." Callan felt Lyra's hand tighten slightly at her side. The image continued. "Your chosen bond has been recorded and accepted. You are free from all forced obligations. The arranged bond is cancelled." The hologram paused before adding, "Your decision was unexpected. But Aurelian law respects true choice." Lyra's shoulders relaxed. But the projection wasn't finished. The older Aurelian looked directly at Callan next. "Human farmer, Callan Ward. Your actions reflect remarkable integrity. Aurelian culture values those who protect others without desire for gain. You have earned our acknowledgement." Callan blinked, unsure how to respond to a hologram. The figure softened his tone. "Treat Lyra well, and may both your worlds learn from your bond." The projection faded, and the drone lifted back into the sky, vanishing into the stars. Lyra stared after it for a long time. She looked relieved beyond words. Then she turned to Callan with shining eyes. "It is over," she whispered. "Truly over." Callan exhaled deeply. He hadn't realized how much tension he carried until that moment. "Good," he said softly. "You deserve peace." Lyra stepped closer, her hands trembling, not with fear, but with emotion. "I never thought the Council would acknowledge a human, Callan. This changes everything." "Maybe they saw what I see," Callan said quietly. She looked up at him, touched by the gentle honesty in his voice. They walked back to the house together. Lyra stopped at the door once more, gazing at the warm glow inside. The fields behind them were calm, the stars bright, the world quiet and peaceful. For the first time since she arrived, Lyra spoke with complete certainty. "I want to build my life here with you." Callan turned to her slowly. He didn't say anything poetic or dramatic. That wasn't his way. Instead, he opened the door for her and said the simplest words he could offer. "Then let's begin." She smiled softly and stepped inside. The firelight welcomed them both. Warm and steady just, like the bond they had formed. And as the night settled gently around the small farmhouse, Lyra felt something she had never felt, even in the grand cities of her world. She felt at home, beside a human farmer who chose her freely, and who, without trying, showed an entire star realm the quiet strength of humanity. The night on Aurora Ring Station was supposed to be peaceful. Every guest, from humans to alien diplomats, looked forward to the cultural gathering that happened once every year. Lights floated above the ballroom like glowing feathers, moving in calm waves. Soft music played from crystal instruments that changed color as they vibrated. Humans were excited but nervous because this was the first time so many alien species were invited together. UN, a young human technician who worked in the repair sector of the station, stood near a large table filled with colorful drinks. He wore a simple suit, neat but ordinary. His job had nothing to do with parties or politics, yet his supervisor insisted he join the event to represent the human maintenance team. Yuen believed his presence didn't matter. Everyone around him seemed confident, graceful, or important. He felt small in comparison. People were choosing dance partners as the music shifted into a gentle rhythm. Humans, paired with humans, aliens with aliens, and a few brave individuals crossed species lines. Yuen watched them with a small smile, though he had no intention of stepping onto the dance floor. He didn't think anyone would choose him. He wasn't a soldier, a diplomat, or someone interesting. He was simply a technician who fixed broken panels and delivered system reports. His friends found partners quickly. Some waved at him from the dance floor, encouraging him to join, but he stayed where he was. He tried not to look lonely, even though he felt that way. Everything changed when a sudden silence fell around him. Not the whole room, only the space near him. It felt like the air had paused. Ian blinked, confused. Then he sensed someone approaching from behind. Slow steps, almost soundless, gliding instead of walking. When he turned, he saw her. She was tall, elegant, and unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin was pale silver, smooth like moonlight. Her long dark hair flowed like a black waterfall down her back. But the thing that captured him were her eyes, deep crimson, glowing softly as if carrying a tiny flame inside. Her presence was calm yet strong, and everyone around her moved aside without being asked. People stared, some in quiet, others with caution. She was a Velkarod, one of the mysterious species that some humans jokingly called alien vampires. But the real Velkarod were not dangerous. They were emotional beings with strong empathy, and their glowing eyes reacted to their feelings, not hunger. Still, many people feared them out of ignorance. The Velkara woman walked straight toward Un, her gaze fixed on him. She stopped only an arm's length away. Yuen felt himself freeze. He had never stood this close to someone so striking, so intense. Her eyes glowed brighter as she examined him, like she was reading the quiet places inside his heart. She spoke softly. "Everyone has chosen a partner, except you," Yuen swallowed. "I guess I wasn't expecting anyone to choose me." Her expression changed, just a little something like disappointment mixed with concern. "Humans often speak poorly about themselves," she whispered. "But you should not." "I'm just a technician," he said shyly. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Titles do not define worth." He felt warmth rise to his face. This alien woman who carried the kind of presence that made an entire ballroom quiet was speaking to him like he mattered. Like she approached him for a reason. She raised one hand slowly, offering it to him. Her fingers were long, graceful, and faintly cool in color. "Human," she said softly, "will you dance with me?" The people around them gasped or murmured. Humans stared. Aliens turned to look. Velkara rarely asked anyone to dance, and almost never chose a human. Yuen felt his heart pounding. He didn't know what to say. He didn't want to embarrass himself or step on her feet, but she looked at him with calm patience, as if she already knew he would say yes. Yuen nodded. "I'll dance with you," she smiled. Not a wide smile, but a soft, warm one that made her eyes glow deeper red. She slipped her cool hand into his and led him gently toward the center of the dance floor. Everyone moved aside to make space for them. The music shifted again to a slower, flowing melody. Yuen placed one hand on her upper arm and the other in her palm, following her quiet guidance. Her movements were graceful, almost like water. She made him feel balanced, safe, and strangely confident. He had never danced this smoothly in his life. "You may call me Soraya," she whispered. "I'm Yuen." "I know," she replied. He blinked. "You know, I sensed your presence when you entered the ballroom. Your quiet nature drew my attention." Yuen felt shy. "I didn't think anyone noticed me." "I noticed," she said simply. They moved together in slow circles as the lights above them shifted into soft shades of purple and gold. An watched her eyes glow brighter each time she looked at him. He wondered what emotion caused that glow. He hoped it wasn't pity. "You were nervous," Soraya murmured. "Very," he admitted. "You hide it well," she replied. "But you do not need to hide from me." For a moment, Yuen forgot there were hundreds of people watching them. He forgot the whispers, the surprised looks, the curious stares. He only saw her Soraya with her glowing eyes and calm presence. "You chose me," he said quietly. "I still don't understand why." "Because you were alone," she said. "And because your heart feels gentle," she paused. "Velkara can sense inner rhythms, your emotions. Yours are calm, soft, and honest." Nobody had ever described him like that. Ian had always believed his quiet nature made him invisible. But Soraya saw something else. The music ended, but she didn't release his hand. Instead, she stepped a little closer, as if she wanted him to stay near her. "Would you join me for a walk?" she asked. Uan nodded, unable to speak for a moment. She led him away from the dance floor and through a side hallway. The lights dimmed into a soft blue, guiding them toward a long, transparent corridor. Outside, stars floated like diamonds scattered across endless dark space. Sir stopped at the clear window, looking at the stars with quiet thoughtfulness. Un stood beside her, wondering if he should speak first. But she broke the silence. "You are quiet again," she said gently. "You worry I asked you to dance by mistake?" He looked at the floor. "Maybe a little." She stepped in front of him, raising her hand. Slowly, she placed her cool palm against the center of his chest. Ian felt his heart race beneath her touch. "Your rhythm is steady," she whispered. "I like that." Her words made his face warm again. She lowered her hand but stayed close. "I come from a world where emotions are the basis of every decision," she said softly. "We feel deeply. We sense deeply. And I sense that you are kind." Yuan didn't know what to say. Soraya looked at him with glowing crimson eyes that reflected the stars outside. "I wish to know you more," she said. "If you allow it." Yuan nodded slowly. "I'd like that." For the first time, she smiled. A full smile, warm and clear. Her eyes glowed brighter, as if happiness shined through them. But just as she opened her mouth to speak again, the lights in the corridor changed to yellow. A sharp alarm echoed across the halls. Soraya's smile faded, replaced by alert focus. "Something is wrong," she whispered. "What's happening?" Yon asked. "I feel distress." From outside the station, her eyes grew brighter, sharper. "Something approaches." A voice from the station speakers announced that an unidentified vessel had been detected at the border zone. Guests inside the ballroom began to gather, confused and scared. Soraya looked out the window. Tightening her grip on Aaron's hand, a dark ship glided toward Aurora Ring. No lights, no signals. No identification, a silent threat. Soraya stepped protectively in front of Yuan. "Stay close to me," she said softly. "I will protect you if danger comes." He stared at her, stunned that an alien woman he just met would say something like that. "You don't have to protect me," he whispered. She looked into his eyes. "I want to." The dark vessel continued moving closer, and Yuan realized this night would not be a normal, cultural celebration. It was only the beginning of something far bigger. The alarm continued to echo through the halls of Aurora Ring Station as the dark ship drifted closer. Soraya held Aaron's hand firmly, her glowing eyes focused on the unknown vessel outside. People gathered in small groups, whispering nervously as security teams rushed toward the main decks. Yuan felt his heartbeat quicken, but Soraya's presence calmed him. Even with danger approaching, she stood tall and collected, like she was born for moments like this. Her crimson eyes glowed brighter, reacting to her rising emotion. Soraya Yuan whispered, "Do you know what that ship is?" She shook her head slowly. "It carries a silent energy. No signal. No communication. It feels wrong." Her voice lowered. "I must speak with the station commander." Yuan nodded, but before she walked away, she looked at him again. "Stay close to me. Do not wander alone." "I won't." She released his hand reluctantly and moved forward, almost gliding instead of walking. Her presence made people move aside automatically. Ian followed right behind her, trying not to get lost in the growing crowd inside the ballroom. The cheerful lights had dimmed to a more serious tone. The music had stopped completely. People stood near the exits, waiting for news. The station commander, a tall human officer named Captain Alrin, stepped onto a raised platform and spoke loudly. "We have detected an unidentified vessel approaching without permission. We are attempting communication. Please remain calm." His voice sounded steady, but unnoticed tension in his shoulders. Saraya stepped forward, and many guests fell silent just seeing her approach. "Captain Alrin," she said in her soft but strong voice, "may I know what energy readings you received?" The captain didn't seem surprised by her question. Velkara were known for sensing emotional energies, so her presence was welcome. "The ship appears empty," he answered. "No life signs detected. But it's still moving." "Empty ships do not move on their own," Saraya murmured. "May I see the readings?" Alren nodded. "Of course, Lady Saraya." She walked to the nearby console with fluid grace. UN stayed close, watching the screen with confusion. Numbers scrolled quickly: energy levels, distance, speed. Saraya studied them with sharp focus. "This energy pattern," she whispered. Her eyes glowed deeper red. "It is not from any known faction. But something inside is pulsing, almost like a heartbeat." Un felt a chill. A heartbeat? Inside a ship? "Not a life form," Saraya said. "An energy core with emotional resonance." She paused. "It is trying to hide itself." The commander looked uneasy. "What does that mean?" "It means," Saraya said quietly, "someone or something's masking its presence." The crowd stirred uneasily. An stepped slightly closer to her, feeling safer near her calm energy. Suddenly, the station lights flickered. A strange vibration passed through the floor, making everyone grab onto something for balance. In stumbled, but Saraya caught his arm before he could fall. "Are you all right?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Yeah, thank you." Her eyes glowed again, calmer this time. "I will not let harm come to you." Before he could respond, the commander shouted, "Report." "What was that tremor?" A security officer replied, "Unknown, sir. It came from the docking sector. Something is forcing its way into the hangar." Saraya's expression sharpened. "We must go there." Unhesitated. "Is it safe for me to go?" Her answer was immediate. "You are not leaving my side." He felt a strange mix of warmth and fear. He didn't want to be in danger, but the idea of leaving her felt wrong. So he followed her quickly as she headed toward the docking sector, moving through long corridors filled with anxious guests. As they walked, Saraya suddenly slowed. Une looked at her, worried. "What's wrong?" She looked at the ceiling, her eyes glowing brighter. "I feel something. Calling? Calling?" UN asked. "It is emotional energy," she said. "It reaches out like a whisper. And it knows I am here." Yuan felt a shiver. "Does it want something from you?" "I cannot tell yet." She placed a hand against the wall, concentrating. "But I sense no aggression, more like longing." Un didn't understand. A ship longing? A machine calling to her? It made no sense. But Saraya's senses were far more advanced than his human understanding. They reached the docking sector. The large metal doors trembled slightly as something inside pushed against them. Security teams aimed their weapons, but nobody fired. The commander stood in front of the group trying to maintain control. "Saraya," the captain said, "do you sense anything now?" She stepped toward the doors, eyes narrowing. "It is stronger here. Much stronger." UN stood behind her, feeling tense and confused. Without warning, the docking doors hissed open. Everyone stepped back. A cold mist spilled out. The dark ship sat inside the hangar, its surface smooth and silent. Absorbing the light around it, UN felt his heart stop for a moment. Saraya stepped forward, her crimson eyes glowing intensely. UN grabbed her arm. "Wait, Saraya, please," she turned to him gently. "Do not fear. It is calling me." I must answer. He felt helpless. He didn't want her to walk towards something unknown, but she moved with complete confidence. The commander didn't stop her. Even he knew the Velkara sensed things no one else could. Saraya approached the dark ship. The moment her hand came close, the ship pulsed with a soft glow. The mist around it shivered and drifted upward like smoke. A faint humming sound filled the room. Everyone held their breath. Ewan felt his chest tighten. Something in him screamed for her safety. The ship responded again. This time, a soft ripple passed through its surface. A small panel on the front slowly opened, revealing a dim interior filled with pulsing red-blue light. Soraya stood perfectly calm. "It is not here to harm," the commander asked. "Then what is it?" She tilted her head, as if listening to something inside. "It is a lost vessel. An old traveler once used it. It remembers their feelings, their fears, their hopes. All that emotion remained inside the core, unblinked. A ship remembers emotions. Some advanced vessels do," she said softly. "They bond with their pilots. They carry their memories." The core pulsed again. Soraya's voice lowered. "It is searching for someone who understands emotional resonance. Someone like me?" In felt both awe and worry. Something unknown had called her. Something powerful. But she showed no fear. She stepped inside the ship. In panicked. "Soraya." He ran forward before anyone could stop him. He refused to let her disappear alone. The commander shouted, but Un didn't care. He followed her into the vessel. Inside, the air felt cool and heavy like walking through fog. The walls glowed faint red, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Soraya stood near the core spherical crystal that shined faintly with layers of color. Yuen stayed close to her. "Why did you come inside alone?" She looked at him with soft eyes. "Because it called me. If I did not answer, it could have turned unstable." She touched his hand lightly. "But I am glad you followed." He felt warmth spread in his chest. Soraya turned back to the core and placed her palm against it. The entire ship hummed in response. The red glow spread around them, then softened into a calm blue. "It is calming now," she whispered. Ian stared at her. "How are you doing this?" Velkara were emotional beings. Their senses could read and influence emotional energy. And this ship was a machine filled with old emotions from some long-gone pilot. "I am not controlling it," she said. "I am listening." The glow grew softer until the pulse felt peaceful. Soraya removed her hand. She seemed tired for a moment, but she regained her strength quickly. "It will not harm the station," she said. "But it needs a caretaker, someone who can help it release the emotions it has held for years." Unfrowned. "Why did it call you specifically?" She turned to him with a quiet smile. "Because I am Velkara. But also," she looked at him differently now, as if something had changed. "Because I approached you earlier. Because your emotions touched mine during the dance. It sensed our connection." In felt stunned. "Connection?" "Yes," she whispered. "Velkara do not dance with just anyone. I chose you because your inner rhythm matched mine." His chest tightened. And the ship felt that. "It felt everything," she said softly, before he could respond. The ship's core pulsed again, this time with a soft, warm glow. It projected a faint beam of light that formed a symbol in the air. Soraya gasped quietly. "This symbol, it means bond in the language of the old pilots." Yuen felt his breath catch. "Bond? With who?" Soraya looked at him with glowing red eyes that softened with emotion. "With us." Ship had chosen them, not as pilots, but as connected hearts. Their fate together had just begun.